Hi everybody and welcome back. My name's Melissa and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. So it is the end of October. Halloween is approaching quickly. And in case you haven't heard, in America, it's looking like they're not funding SNAP in November. For those of you who don't know, SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps. And a lot of people don't realize that they even really get it. Like Medicaid, SNAP, all of that is confusing. When I worked at a grocery store, I used to hear people all the time. And this has happened in both Florida and Illinois. People will sit there and scream about how nobody should get food stamps and food stamps is this and food stamps is that. And then proceed to pay for their groceries with a SNAP card and their beer with cash, as they have just spent all of this time in line screaming about food stamps when then they use food stamps. And they're not screaming that they need more. They're screaming that they don't think people should get food stamps. So that's kind of like the long and the short of it. And like I will see two people sitting there complaining about all these freeloaders with food stamps, and they both pay for pay with their SNAP cards. And I'm not judging somebody for needing food assistance. I mean that's completely different, but it's scary how many people don't realize what they are using and what they are needing, and will literally vote against their own self-interest because they don't understand. I mean, I've seen it happen before. They listen to these podcasts or whatever. I had a black student come in once and say some of the craziest things to me, and I had to set him aside and tell him, you do realize you're black, right? And you do realize that these people were insulting you and saying bad things, and now you're saying the same thing. And had to explain to him that he is a good person and that there's nothing wrong with being black and that those people were bad and he is not bad and it is okay to misunderstand. But this is like a huge thing that kind of has, it's frustrating. So it's been really upsetting me, because I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to need SNAP. I know what it's like to be disabled. I know what it's like to be a disabled single mom raising a disabled kid. It's not easy. And right now I'm doing good, but that doesn't mean I'm always doing good. And that could change in an instant. And I am very aware of how quickly my life could be turned upside down. And I understand what it's like to need that. And I really do. My heart goes out to these people. So if you, I did read a little bit about it. So food stamps is currently not set to fund in November. However, the money on your EBT SNAP food benefit card is not going to be pulled. That is my understanding. Please do make sure if you are on SNAP benefits that you do confirm that. But from what I've read, you shouldn't have to go out and stock up. Okay. So now let's talk about food pantries. So food pantries are not going to have, most of the time, they're not going to have your eggs, your meat, your milk, your butter, all of that. So you're going to really want to look for those items on sale. And you're going to want to find the cheap meats and stuff. And then you're going to want to, food pantries, oftentimes they'll have your dried goods, your spaghetti, your pasta sauce, your canned beans, your dried beans, your rice. I remember, so I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's like this huge, like, it's not even a food pantry. They like distribute to food pantries and stuff. But in Florida, I remember, so my kid was in Boy Scouts, or Cub Scouts rather, and they do this whole popcorn thing where they sell like ridiculously overpriced, like a 6-ounce bag of popcorn for $10, and it only goes up from there. Anyways, it was delivered to the same place that has this like food thing, and I remember they were like moving pallets and everything, and I saw, and I talked to a guy there, and they're able to buy rice in bulk, like by the ton. And then they package it in these little like 1-pound square bags. It's just like simple. And that way they can feed more people with it. Oh gosh, what was it? Like, I don't know. I don't know if it was like Feeding America or something like that. I don't know. It was like, it was in Florida. And so they frequently will have like those dried goods that they can get easily. And then obviously, you know, like I remember seeing, I don't remember if it was on Nextdoor or you know, one of the text messages I get sent to my phone about like local alerts in the area, but I remember seeing something come through about how Jewel, which is a local grocer, had dropped off, I don't know, hundreds of gallons of milk to a place, and they're like, you know, come and get it. Well, you can. They had just had like an excess amount of milk or whatever, so you know, it had to be gone that day, and so it was given away. I don't even remember where it was or how you got it, but like you just did. And I know that sometimes they'll drop off like produce or meat or whatever. It'll get frozen and dropped off to these, or it'll get dropped off to the food pantry. The food pantry will pick it up and they'll freeze it, and then, you know, you can get some meat or something. But a lot of that is going to be harder to get than your canned and dried goods. So if you are experiencing food insecurity, here's my recommendation. First, go to your local food pantry. They're all run different. I guess we have one near us. Somebody was telling me that it's like a grocery store, and you go in, like, you don't pay or anything, but like it's set up like a grocery store so you can like shop. I don't know if there's limits or whatever, but and then I know when I was in marketing, I actually ran into a business. It wasn't a business. It was a nonprofit. I thought it was a business, but it was nonprofit. And they're a food pantry, and they go out to, they have like a parking lot set up, and they like have vans, and then like you get a box of food, and it doesn't matter if there's one person or 10 people in your family. It's just like the same box. And I know I've been to different churches where they base it on, you know, family size. Some food pantries can accommodate things like dietary issues, like celiac disease, where it's got to be gluten-free or whatever. Some can't. So before you buy anything, you're going to want to see what the food pantry has and what they give you, so that way, if you get pasta and sauce and you know, rice and beans and stuff, you don't want to be going and buying that when you're already getting that. You want to be able to use those leftover food stamp dollars that you still have and make the most of them. So, you know, if you get 10 boxes of mac and cheese, you're going to want to get milk and butter. Also, you can use a little bit more, leave a little bit of the pasta water in mac and cheese, not a ton, or like reserve some to the side, and you can use a little more milk than butter. and kind of stretch it that way because milk is a little cheaper than butter. Another thing, if you get something like Hamburger Helper, don't throw away the fat from the burger. You can use that instead of butter. I mean, you're throwing away one fat to replace it with another. So you're going to really want to kind of be planning and thinking about that, because you're going to have to make those food dollars stretch farther. So if you're going to need something like fruit for your kids, bananas and apples are pretty much go-tos. They're really cheap. You can find apples a lot of the time for like $1 a pound. Bananas are still under $1 a pound most places. So look at your affordable fruit. You might not be able to get Honeycrisp. You may have to get like Cosmic Crisp or Envy or Gala. I really like Cosmic Crisp. Honestly, I've been on a Honeycrisp kick lately, but Cosmic Crisp are better out of season. Honeycrisp are better in season. But look at different ways to get your vitamins. I heard that onions and peppers have vitamin C, like onions and bell peppers. I would have to check that, but I was watching a food YouTuber who's like, I don't know, a dietitian or something. I can't remember who. Like, I can picture his face. I can't remember his name. But start doing that. Check out some of your foreign food bloggers who are going to be using more affordable ingredients. Asia, Eastern Europe, maybe Africa. I don't know. I don't do a lot of spicy food, and so I know that a lot of food in Africa uses spice. So does a lot of Asian food, but I'm more familiar with how to cook Asian food, and I've eaten more Asian food, so I'm more able to adjust that. But the only African food I've had was like really spicy, and I was like, oh, maybe not for me. So I can't guarantee that. Latin America has some affordable recipes too that I've seen. So look at some of those people for new and unique ways to prepare food. I figured out what it would be if I had like bought all the groceries brand new or whatever, and it would have been like $34, $37, something like that. But like, a lot of recipes call for flour. I'm not gonna, like, the bag of flour would be $3, assuming I didn't have flour, but I'm not gonna go out and buy a bag of flour when I have it in the thing. But what I'm planning on doing, so my grocery budget every week is about $50. I normally go by the month, and not the week. I normally budget about $200 to $225 a month for groceries. Sorry, the 25 is kind of that like bubble. So $50 a week. And money actually spent on this week's groceries is under $50. And so I am going to take whatever I have left over, and I'm going to donate that to a local food pantry, whether it be in the form of food or whether it be in the form of money, because frequently I'm going to talk to the food pantry and I'm going to ask what their preference is, because frequently they can buy in bulk, and other times, like maybe they need a specific thing, and I can look and see if I can find a good deal on those things that they need. So I'm going to talk to them and see about that. And then I'll be donating whatever extra money I have, whether it be in the form of buying food for them or just giving them the money so that they can feed more people. So maybe you're like me and maybe you are in a better situation right now and you are not food insecure. And maybe you can, in solidarity with the people who are food insecure, maybe you can tighten your budget like I am and see if you can come in under budget and donate that extra to a local food pantry, and see what you can do that way, because kids going hungry, seniors going hungry, disabled people going hungry, it's not great. So I don't know exactly, I mean, really tip whatever, but I don't know exactly how it kind of rolls into whatever and plays into whatever, but I feel like it's important for people to be thinking about this, and you know, I know I don't have a huge following, but I know those of you that do communicate with me are some of the sweetest people I think I've ever met. You guys are so super kind, and well, I realize some of you won't necessarily have the ability to do it. I mean, I really am, I mean, I guess this is kind of my ask, like, try and challenge yourself to bring your food budget in tighter. And if you do have that ability, because obviously, like, I could take that $13 and save it, or put it somewhere else. But I'm choosing not to do that. I'm choosing to try and help my neighbor and help other people not go hungry. And $13 from me a week isn't a lot. Heck, even if I gave him my entire food budget a week, even if I gave him $50 a week, that's not a lot. But if all of us can tighten up our food budget a little bit, tighten up our grocery bill a little bit, and go without a little bit, and maybe share, maybe we all can make a difference. And maybe you can also do it and make a difference. So yeah, and if you can't, that's okay too. And if you're not in America and you're just looking at us like, dang, it sucks to be American right now. Yeah, it's tough, but I don't know. I guess it is what it is. Anyways, again, my name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. If you want to hear more tips for frugal living, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all tomorrow.